Have you ever faced a problem so big that it felt impossible to overcome? Maybe it was fear, failure, or an obstacle standing in your way. This is the story of David and Goliath, a story that reminds us, with God, no giant is too great. The Israelites were at war with the Philistines. Both armies stood on opposite hills, with a valley between them. Every morning and evening, a giant named Goliath came forward. He mocked the Israelites. He mocked their God. He was nearly 10 feet tall. He wore armor so heavy that no ordinary man could lift it. His voice thundered across the battlefield, and for 40 days, he challenged Israel to send a man to fight him. But no one had the courage to step forward. Even King Saul, who was the tallest man in Israel, trembled with fear. Now let us meet David. David was not a soldier. He was the youngest son of Jesse. He spent his days tending sheep in the fields. While others saw him as small and unimportant, God saw him as chosen. In the quiet hills, David had already fought lions and bears to protect his sheep. He had learned courage. He had learned faith. He had learned that victory comes not from strength, but from the Lord. One day, Jesse sent David to bring food to his brothers who were in the army. When David arrived at the battlefield, he heard Goliath's challenge. The giant mocked Israel. The giant mocked God. And David's heart burned within him. He could not believe that no one had the courage to face this enemy. David asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" While others only saw the size of the giant, David saw the greatness of his God. But David's brothers became angry with him. They told him to be quiet. They said he was just a shepherd boy. They told him to go back home. Yet David did not listen. Because when God puts courage in your heart, no voice of doubt can silence you. King Saul eventually heard about David's boldness. He called David before him. David said, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." But Saul looked at David and shook his head. "You are only a boy," Saul said. "This man has been a warrior from his youth." Still, David stood firm. He told Saul of the lions and bears he had fought. He told Saul that God had rescued him before, and God would rescue him again. David's faith was greater than Saul's fear. Finally, Saul agreed. He placed his royal armor on David. The helmet was too heavy. The sword was too long. David tried to walk, but could not. And he removed it all, because David understood. Victory does not come from human weapons. Victory comes from the Lord. David picked up his sling. He walked to the brook and chose 5 smooth stones. 5 small stones, against a giant covered in armor. To the eyes of men, it looked foolish, but to the eyes of faith it was enough. Now came the moment of battle. Goliath stepped forward with his shield-bearer. He laughed when he saw David. He mocked him, saying, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David by his gods. He said he would tear him apart. But David answered with courage. He said, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." Then David ran quickly toward the battle line. He reached into his bag. He took out a stone. He placed it in his sling. He swung it with all his strength, and the stone flew through the air. It struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant fell face down on the ground. With no sword in his hand, David defeated Goliath, because the battle was the Lord's. Now let us pause and see the lessons. First, giants will always rise against us. They may not always be 9 feet tall. Sometimes they are problems. Sometimes they are fears. Sometimes they are doubts. But God is greater than every giant. Second, God prepares us in secret before He uses us in public. David learned courage while no one was watching, protecting sheep. Do not despise the small beginnings in your life. God is training you for something greater. Third, do not try to wear someone else's armor. Saul's armor did not fit David. God has given you your own gifts, your own calling, your own path. Trust the tools He has placed in your hands. Fourth, true courage does not come from confidence in ourselves. It comes from confidence in God. David's strength was not in his sling. It was in his faith. Fifth, when you face your giant, do not walk. Run forward in faith. David did not wait for Goliath. He ran to the battle, because when God is with you, you can move boldly. And so, the story of David and Goliath teaches us this truth. The size of your giant does not matter. What matters is the size of your God. And with God, no battle is too great. If this story has inspired you today, remember this. You too can overcome the giants in your life, not by your strength, not by your wisdom, but by faith in the living God. Thank you for watching this Bible story. If you want to hear more inspiring stories from the Word of God, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to watch the next video, where we share more powerful Bible stories and lessons that will strengthen your faith.